Hello, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us. My name is Diana Salazar, and I am the Product Marketing Manager for the Enterprise Backup and Archive Division at Quantum. And today I am joined by Stefan Cardo, who is the Director of Pre-Sales in EMEA. And today we are bringing you, in this session, the topic of how we can help you meet your SLAs while reducing backup footprint and spend. And I'll start off by level setting a little bit about what's going on in the market and give us a really solid understanding. And then I'll turn it over to Stefan to guide us through a little more detail about this very topic and product detail to help us all make sure we're all on the same page. And regarding these big drivers that we're seeing and these influencers that are basically guiding our innovation, digital transformation for sure has been going on for quite a while now. And I believe it's been accelerated by COVID-19. We still have those GDPR requirements as well as in California, similar requirements. So, this digital transformation continues to be a big initiative for 2020. Executives across the world, CIOs are increasingly thinking about protecting their data while also meeting compliance requirements. And so data protection is still top of mind. And I want to help us all look through the lens of value and cost optimization because, again, data protection and security are more critical than ever. Data loss and the threat of disaster and cyber attack, that's all top of mind. And I believe that the tone changed a little bit from short-term urgent challenges to, smart value optimization. And so what that is leading to is for organizations that are looking to make infrastructure more efficient. And so you definitely want to reduce that back footprint and, get a better TCO. So we are working very hard to bring you enhanced features to improve your, SLAs. We want that infrastructure to be efficient so that you can do more with less. And again, there's a push for hybrid cloud and all that. So we are innovating. We are working hard. These are drivers that are definitely influencing what we are doing and how much more we are integrating with our partners. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. But to give you a little bit of a history lesson here, I won't take long, I promise. But for some of you, you may not know that we've had the DXi for quite a while now. It plays in a mature market space. It is a purposely built backup appliance. We have a rich legacy in backup via tape storage. We led early development in VTL systems and development. We patented variable block deduplication, and we brought that to market in 2006. And, it was just a really efficient, and it continues to be a really efficient dedupe engine and replication. Today, we sell the DXi in a physical flavor and a virtual as well. And what's really cool about the way we package this is all of the rich features that you're looking for, or most of the rich features that you're looking for, are licenses that are included in the main price of the system, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But it is the most dense system that is out there, and we are producing and enhancing and making those features that are in current partner applications such as Veeam 10. We're adding fast clone, and we'll talk more about that. But it is a very, very cool product, and we're continually making changes to them so that you can benefit and, reduce your footprint and spend. So just to give you a quick overview here of the product line, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll let Stefan go through that, but I do just want to give you a high-level view of what products we're talking about and what solutions there are. We have two product families, or one product family and two product sets. It's the DXi 4800 that's geared towards the mid-market space. What you get there is up to 16.5 terabytes an hour and up to 34 with accent, and a logical capacity of about 6.3 petabytes. This system here scales to about 315 terabytes in a 10U. And then the DXi 9000 gives you about 49 terabytes an hour and 99 terabytes an hour with accent in terms of performance. With this DXi, you can scale to 20 petabytes in logical capacity. But look at this. Look at the density on that chassis. 1.2 in a 10U. That is important. You know, we're using 12 terabyte drives. We're the only one out there using those 12 terabyte drives. Performance on each, as you can see, they're you know, they're pretty fast, especially on the DXi 9000. Again, Stefan will go over more detail about these, but I did want to call your attention because these are fine-tuned systems that are, you know, they have an awesome replication engine that enables multi-site DR protection. It's got the density to reduce your footprint and spend. We have multi-protocol access, and it's integrated with all the leading backup applications. So, you know, it's important that we mention this because what I want to show you next is some of the consolidation benefits that this DXi family can offer, and to give you an idea of what that looks like. This is here as an example. We've had multiple customers, but in this particular case, you know, customers wanted to really consolidate their solution. What we were seeing is that they had more than 25 systems. They wanted and were able to consolidate into one single 10U of rack space. A DXi 9000 was able to fit 1 petabyte. Now, just think about the TCO savings there and the space that was gained. If I look at this from an admin standpoint, I mean, we were able to reduce the footprint, reduce power and cooling, and reduce the backup spend. So, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, your backup infrastructure, and if you're looking for extreme scalability and density, look at the massive consolidation benefits that we were able to provide for some of our customers. And so that this is something to look into a little bit further. And definitely questions you can ask while we have Stefan, our expert in the technology. But the other important aspect of this is that we are compatible with, you know, the backup leaders, the backup application leaders in the market. And here's just an image of some of them. We are working hard because we want to meet your SLAs, you know, for your business. It's not something that we can do on our own. We have, you know, we have to partner with these wonderful backup applications that you are very familiar with. We are compatible with all of them and then some. But we are not limited to these, and we understand that matters to you guys, to the enterprise, and we understand that performance, and we understand efficiency and a good TCO and integration, and that your solution is future-proof. But it has to be all at the right cost. And you know, Quantum has been doing this for over 40 years, and so we want to show you more detail as to how the DXi can help you. But first, I want to turn it over to Stefan because I want him to go a little bit into more detail about our compatibility and tell you a little bit more about our global deduplication pool. So Stefan, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Yeah, so as you can see on this slide, like how we just stated, yeah, we support different type of backup tool, but each backup tool, of course, has sometimes its own protocol because they are optimized in terms of secure protocol to discuss with the appliance. So I take for two example, like for Veeam, they use VDMS, which allows to connect the Veeam proxy directly to the appliance. So the appliance is not showing, I would say, NAS share outside of the box. So it's a kind of first level of security, as well as Veritas using the OST protocol, which is a secured protocol between the backup servers and the appliance. Outside of that, when we speak about all these protocols, those we say multi-protocol, because on the same box, we could back up one or multiple different type of application at the same time, because first, the box, as you've seen, has high performance and is able to manage a lot of streams, thousands of streams towards the disk. But also, we have a global deduplication pool, which means basically that if Veeam is backupping my PDF file, but Veritas is backupping the same PDF file afterwards, what Veritas will send to me will be completely 100% dedupe. So it's a global deduplication pool, whatever the protocol is. And we have the same technology when we speak about replication. When we have many sites replicating to one primary site, we also use a common deduplication, because the algorithm is exactly the same between those DXi and even the generation 2 and the generation 3. We are right now in generation 4. So all those DXIs will have a global deduplication intelligence. So that is really key. So let's see the other slides, because we have some other nice feature enabling also to, I would say, squeeze as much as possible the data, but also guarantee some savings or infrastructure cost investment. So let's take a look at the tight integration with some of the backup tools. We speak about source deduplication. So we have a variable inline deduplication, but we can take that algorithm out of our box and put it directly on a media server, which is running, for example, net backup, but also any type of Linux or Red Hat software can have our source deduplication. That means deduplication is done at the server level. It sometimes increases the performance of the backup, but for sure, it will reduce, I would say, the bandwidth requirement that you require between the storage of the DXi and the backup server. So that's a huge economy in some case. We also have instant VM recovery with most of the backup tools. That means you're directly able to boot your VM in terms of recovery, or multiple VMs, and you will see that in Veeam presentation as well, directly on the DXi. And after that, when they are fully recovered, they are transparently removed to the data store. So that's really a unique key feature as well to enable you to have best SLAs on recovery. The third one is synthetic full. Synthetic full is very basic. Basically, we do a full directly by reading the metadata on the DXi. So we do not need to solicitate once again all the ecosystem and gather the data, which requires bandwidth and which requires a big backup full window. In that case, everything is created locally on the DXi. And since we're not, I would say, reading back all the data, so undeduping all the data, we're just doing an aggregation of metadata. For some example, instead of having a 5 hours full backup with reading all the data back, we'll do it maybe in 30 or 20 minutes. So the benefit is really huge in terms of integration. Now, outside of that, in our box, we also have some nice feature to really make sure we improve your performance in terms of backup and we secure the backup. So as I was saying, we have a variable inline deduplication, which also means that when the data arrives to the box, we dedupe, we create new blocks or update the metadata. But when we create new blocks and we are in a replication, I would say, architecture with a disaster recovery site, what will happen, we'll start the replication when we get those new blocks. We're not waiting for the end of the backup like some other vendors to start replicating the data. That's what we call continuous replication. And that is a key feature to enable a quick SLA and also manage a good RPO, RTO around your disaster recovery. I was saying also generic source deduplication plugin. It's all in the box. There's no license. This is called Accent and Accent FS, enabling that source deduplication at the server level. And for the security, because today the world we are living can get hacked, encrypted, or can get ransomware, cyber attack, and many other threats. In that case, all the disks are self-encrypted drive and linked to the controllers. So that is a key differentiator, as well as since it's a hardware encryption, there is no performance impact on the box in and out compared to a software encryption appliance where you will have a 20–30% impact on the overall of the system. Secure protocol, I already kind of talked about it, enabling only the appliance to be seen by the backup tool. No other person can see this appliance on the network. And of course, one of the key things is that you will see just a few screenshots later on, but the monitoring is really complete but really easy to use. So in that case, your people, your admin staff running the backup will for sure don't spend a lot of time to quickly understand and tune the box. So that's really a nice feature as well. Next slide. So let's go a little bit more deeper under the hood with Veritas, I would say. Veritas, we can integrate our box at 99% with all the different features they have. It's in their matrix. So here there's a few examples. We speak about the integration of OST Cloud AWS. Accelerator is a kind of CBT, change block tracking, enabling to only send the new blocks to the appliance and create a virtual synthetic full backup directly on the DXi. So that means the network is not heavily loaded. So that's also nice for the investment. We support other type of features with Accelerator, which is NDMP, VMware. We also enable the AIR technology if you have one or multiple net backup environments to share the data and to offset the data to another site and maybe push directly to tape. And by the way, speaking about tape, in the 3-2-1 philosophy of any type of ISV application, the thing is really to have 3 copies of your data on 2 different type of tier, and one should be kind of offsite. And tape is really there to do and handle such requirements, as well as the functionality of path to tape, the ability to connect a tape library behind the DXi to minimize also the usage of maybe an extra media server. Concurrent optimized replication means that during the backup, we already start to replicate the data to the disaster recovery site. We're not waiting for net backup to tell us to duplicate the OST image. We do it under the hood. That means when the policy kicks in, at some point, it's just an update of the metadata and your OST image is already ready to go on the disaster recovery site. Accent, we spoke about it, the ability to switch on and off our deduplication algorithm on the media server. You saw some of the performance. If we put Accent directly on the media server, we can double the performance of the system because we have much more nodes which are running the algorithm instead of having only a single appliance running the algorithm for all these backups. So it's always nice to put in place to speed up all the backup. Synthetic full, we spoke about it, the ability to virtually create, and you have a small little graph on the bottom right here when you can see our internal tools which our customer have access. On the first full backup, you see a lot of I/O traffic coming inside the box. Then after we can do 1, 2, 3 incremental, so still a bit of traffic. And we can see on the bottom the capacity is rising up. And the last step is to do a synthetic full. There is no I/O traffic coming in the box, and we can see that virtually the logical volume, so the retention of the data is just jumping quickly. So that is done quite nicely as well. Last feature, which is nice, is the dynamic application environment. It's the ability to run a media server inside the DXi. This was, in fact, brought up by an end user who has today roughly about 150 DXIs. 50 of those DXIs are running in small facilities, and what he wanted to do, he wanted to have a very easy solution in place without any disk and server. So we did a complete engineering design, taking our DXi, adding a little bit more RAM, and running that virtual server directly on it, which is the media of net backup. And in fact, we also connected directly a tape library. So on all these remote sites, it has just a small DXi 47 or 4800 with a tape library connected to it and the media server running directly on it. So all in one to make sure it's easy to service. Next slide. Oh, so this one is Veeam Integration. So as Diana was saying, yeah, we done lastly a lot of integration during the last 2 years. We worked a lot tight with Veeam. We were Veeam ready. We are now Veeam integrated. That means there's common development between both companies. We started with VDMS 2 years ago, so running the Veeam Data Service Mover directly inside the DXi, also to reduce the numbers of proxy servers in front. So that's also a saving and easy to admin at some point and put in place. And recently, this Veeam integrated was given to us because we developed with them the fast clone feature, so the ability to directly do a synthetic full without reading back the data, so rehydrate the data. We're just reading the metadata and enabling to create a virtual full directly on the DXi very quickly. So that brings up also a nice SLA in terms of backup. Instant VM recovery like Veritas are able to be run with one or multiple VM at the same time directly on the DXi if you need a quick recovery scenario. So that's also a key feature for your SLA. And of course, continuous replication is really part of the product. Whatever the backup tool is, whatever the protocol is, VTL, NAS, OST, once the data is arriving, when it's starting to be a dedupe, if the disaster recovery site, the target unit, does not have, of course, the data, we already wire up the data. And that data, of course, for security purpose is compressed, encrypted as well. So that's also huge information. And speaking about replication, I just want to mention whatever the soft is, we have a one-to-one or bidirectional replication, many-to-one, one-to-many as well ability. Next slide. So quickly, Accent FS. So we've seen Accent for net backup, but I could also use that native plugin delivered with a DXi with any type of Red Hat or CentOS servers, whatever tool they are running, if it's backup or archive tool. And basically, as you can see, the algorithm is running inside that server. That means we just need a small LAN or even WAN, and everything has been secured, and the data is directly sent to the DXi. And you can see quickly how we can create a share NAS. We just give a name, we show it or not on the network, and we say it will enable deduplication directly at the source. So in a few clicks, we're able to deploy such a solution. And the next slide is a typical example. On the next slide, we speak about RMAN. In some case, some people and DBAs don't want to be linked to a backup tool, so they want the capability to directly do their dump on the storage. So yes, it's feasible. I can even run Accent on the Oracle sermon. So step one is to do the local backup directly. The step two will be to have replication for security. So I have a second copy. And if in some case the source DXi is not available, well, no problem. The Oracle RMAN host has the capability to route directly to the offsite DXi target, which is the step 4. And the step 5 will be to inventory all the content. And step 6, of course, to retrieve the content which is required for the business. And everything can be done over the WAN because there's no issue in terms of latency. One of the last thing we wanted to speak was about all the reporting. Lots of people say, yeah, but sometimes the solutions are complex. It's difficult to configure. It's not really ergonomic, I would say. So we have a graphical user interface where you can do all the administration, all the setup of the VTL, the OST, the NAS share, integration with Veeam. If you have a tape library, you can see the tape connected to such interface. So that's really the main dashboard. We have DART, which is DXi Advanced Reporting. Basically, it's tracking all the historical on what is in that box during the last 60 years. So you can see how much data is being ingested, the activity on the fiber port, the Ethernet port. You can see the CPU, the disk I/O. So lots of information which are real live, and those information can be collected by our service, our solution architect, to also understand the capacity training of the solution if we have any type of bottleneck. And of course, you have access to that, and you will be trained to understand this type of graph. Solution, of course, is web services and CLI, because some people like to integrate those products in their data center framework. And the last thing, which is also available natively, is what we call cloud-based analytics, which is not only linked to DXi, but linked to all the other products of Quantum, like Scalar, tape library, and StorNext XLS product. So basically what it does is that the unit will send every 4 hours all their logs to that cloud. And if there's an issue at Quantum, we will already potentially have all the logs. So we will be able to diagnostic much more quicker instead of asking you to upload the logs and try to understand what's going on. So we really have a complete vision online of what is going on that system. So that's also a pretty nice tool to be used. And you also have access. So if you have multiple, I would say, units from Quantum, you can log to Cloud Analytics and see all your Quantum devices all in one. Next slide. So just to add a little bit more technical, we spoke about multi-protocol, different type of connectivity. Yes, we can connect in VTL with fiber channel HBAs. We also have 10 gigabit or 25 gigabit connectivity on those systems. And the HBA, I would say, are on demand. We have 4 PCI bus in the node of each system, and you can put whatever you want in terms. Is it a dual fiber, quad fiber, a dual 25 gig, a quad 10 gig, which can be twin ax, copper, 10 base T, whatever. So it's almost a plug and play system. So that means today you can start with maybe only one HBA, and within the next few months or years, if you need more bandwidth, or because there's new HBA with new performance, like the 100 gig will be available also later on this year, we'll just put a 100 gigabit connectivity. So really, the system is also protecting your investments, because as you can see, it's very scalable and it's very flexible in terms of connectivity. Performance, Diana gave you some numbers. How can we achieve those numbers? It's basically also because we use SSD. On the small 4800, we have a cache SSD for the metadata, which is boosting, I would say, the inline deduplication as well as the restore operation. However, on the DXi 9000, the node is completely full of SSD. There's roughly 15 terabytes dedicated to the OS and the metadata. This is how we are able to achieve such high level numbers. The only optional feature on such system is really to run the VDMS or run the DAE. All the rest, which I've been speaking about, deduplication, replication, self-encrypted drive, Accent FS, are natively inside the box. Now, to conclude, the next slide is more about what is Differentiator compared to the others. So I would say there's 3 categories on that slide. The first one will be SLA, the second one, the footprint, and the third one, the security. On the SLA, you saw that by the performance, the ingest, the speed, because we leverage those SSD, and also under the hood, our StorNext file system, we're able to achieve those high level of performance to make sure we guarantee quick backup and restore, and also a quick replication as well. Continuous replication, as I was speaking, is really key, because it's almost an asynchronous replication without any manual operation to go back on business on the other side. So that's really key for the RPO and the RTO. And the last thing for the SLA is ease of use of the solution, scalable and ease of use for your admin people. Footprint, we saw that we are using either 8 terabyte disk or 12 terabyte disk with high density chassis. And with that inline deduplication, using a variable block technology, we are able to maybe dedupe by 10, 20, 30. It really depends how the backup scheme is like and what is the nature of the data. So you really can store 10, 20, 30 petabyte on those 10U at some point. So that's a huge benefit for the footprint, also for the power savings in your data center. And of course, the global deduplication is also increasing such level of performance. The security one, we spoke about secure protocol, but other security are maybe linked to the type of RED we're using, RED 6 or RED DDP, to enable quicker recovery of the disk with the DDP. Everything is fully redundant on the enterprise model, dual controllers, dual path. So this is key to guarantee high availability of the system. And of course, we spoke about the self-encrypted drive. bringing the security, but we integrate with LDAP, Active Directory, and we also have all these audit logs to understand who connected to the unit and what was done by that person, just in case something happens. I think that's all for me, Diana, if you want to take the last slide.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stefan. Thank you for driving us through all the details of the DXi, and surprisingly, I'm sure there is information there that perhaps a lot of people weren't aware of. And I want to conclude, or we want to conclude this session with, just letting you know that we are working in conjunction with our partners and that our integration is very tight with our ISVs. We are, advancing on these features and enabling you to improve on those SLAs, as I previously mentioned, and Stefan did as well. And, we're bringing you these performance numbers. They are real. You are able to reach them. There's maybe some tweaking that needs to be done, but definitely talk to your solutions architect and your trusted advisor about that. These benefits that we are bringing to our customers and those that are very interested in these type of solutions, it's just amazing what we can do. And I'm sure there's other products out there that can do the same thing. But when you look at the numbers, they do not lie. And when you pay attention to that TCO and, those performance numbers that we saw, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And so we want to be able to bring this benefit to you. We'd love for you to take us, compare us and allow us the opportunity to show you what these appliances can do, whether it's in the mid-market space or in the enterprise space. We can definitely help you consolidate if that's something that you are interested in benefiting from. And again, if you're more interested in a demo, or like I mentioned, bring us head-to-head with another vendor, we welcome that. Please ask us how you can get one. Reach out to your trusted advisor or to Quantum directly. And then if you need additional information or you're interested in a roadmap discussion, we've got some really cool, neat things coming up, and so we'd love to talk to you about that. Reach out to us as well. So with that, just in summary, I think that, with our history and I think with the value that we can bring to your data center, I think it'd be worthwhile to take a deeper look, not only at, what we've talked about. There's only so much we can share within, the 30-minute time frame that we do have with you. But, I just want to make sure that we were able to level set on what the DXi is and what it does and the two product families and where we can fit in a discussion that you might want to have about consolidating, reducing spend, footprint, so on and so forth. So with that, I want to move into questions. Stefan, do you have anything else to add before we take questions?
Nope. Let's take a Q&A if needed.
Okay, perfect. So there's a couple questions that came through, and one of them is, can I create a chargeback reporting?
Yes, you may. In fact, in the DXi Advanced Reporting, you can, through the little screen, you can export a kind of CSV report, which gives you roughly how much data is on each of the shares, what is the estimated dedupe, because we have a global deduplication, so it's always difficult when it's global, but gives you a rough estimation. And of course, our solution architects are also sometimes doing some audits. So we gather that dart and we do, I would say, sometimes all the work for you to explain you what we see from that dart, what each share is consuming, and what's the capacity training. However, yes, you can do that yourself by downloading the chargeback report.
Okay, great, thank you. And there's another one that says, I heard you guys were using another vendor's variable length deduplication algorithm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I think it's vice versa. Some of them are using some of our patents. If we look at one of the storyboard, which was the one of the first slides of Diana, deduplication that we are using was born in 1999 in Australia by an Australian small company. And at that time, there was some other companies fetching those patents. And after that, Australian company got acquired at some point by Quantum. So we completely own all the deduplication patent. However, some of the companies, when they were, I would say, private, when they went public, had to present what technology they were using in terms of patent. And we discovered at least 3 where we had, at some point, money from them to use our patent. So no, it's the opposite, Diana. Some of the opposite vendors are using some of our deduplication, which are linked to the variable block technology, either in dedupe lines or even, I would say, network switches to optimize the bandwidth traffic.
And so really what that means is that if they're looking to compare, say, with such vendors, as far as performance, do you think we're going to be in line somewhere around there?
We are, yeah, we are really very close to the others. So if I will just drop a few names so nobody gets hurt. I would say if you have existing Dell EMC data domain, net backup appliance, HP Store One appliance, and another, basically moving to a quantum solution, you will have roughly the same reduction. When I say reduction, is the deduplication and the compression on top of that. And sometimes we're even better because the variable block deduplication compared to a software deduplication really does not care about what type of file. Are those Office files or those database? So that's the beauty of the variable block deduplication.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we've had questions before where people really weren't familiar with that story, and so really appreciate you going through that. All right, well, that's it for questions. Thank you so much. If there isn't any more, let me just quickly check. No, there appears to be no other questions. So again, if you have additional questions and want to learn more, you can reach out through our website, www.quantum.com. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. Please stick around. We have really good sessions coming up here for the rest of the day, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.